I wanted to live there myself for the first 3 months. I thought, yeah, I've made it. I'm going to live by myself. And I very quickly realized in them 3 months that, wow, this is taking money out of my pocket. My expenses has just gone up. So before long, I called up the bank and I went, look, I can't afford to live here. Can I rent this place out? And funny enough, they gave me something called a permission to let. I paid £295 and they said you can let this property and then after a couple of years we'll change it to a proper buy to let mortgage. And that's exactly what I did. And that way I ended up getting £1,000 rent, £500 was my mortgage, so I made £500. Now here's a top tip for you people at home. I had an account for where my McDonald money came out of. And I used to use that for all of my expenses. And I just used to live within their means. When I worked in the bank, I still never kept my eye off the ball. And even though my salary went up, that was my savings account. And then I ended up opening another account where my rent went in for this property. So I started creating pots of money because I was like, if there's any problems with the property, it's not coming out of my money. It's coming out of the rent money. It's that cut. If there's some savings that I needed or wanted to purchase something, it's coming out of that because I'm working for that. And this McDonald money is what I get to spend. And I actually lived by that same formula at least to the age of 27. But what that ended up enabling me to do is by the age of 26, 27, I had 4 properties and accumulatively in assets that was over £1 million. So I became a millionaire at the age of 26, 27 with the what I was doing with my earned income, putting it into assets to create that passive income and achieving that greatness.
I just want to applaud that because that's absolutely phenomenal and very inspirational, I have to say. And I want to unpick what you've said so far because there's lots of gems in there for people to really get their teeth into. And that's why we're here. We're here to learn and we're here to grow. There's a couple of things that I want to pick up on. And of course, I love this conversation. My background's in finance.
Nice.
Obviously, the name Des Finance gives that away. But also, I used to be a mortgage broker as well in a previous life after I was a school teacher teaching finance and business. But a few things that you said that I want to pick up on. First thing I want to say is that you're absolutely right. There's nothing like luck. That doesn't exist. There's cause and effect, and you've made your own luck. Absolutely. But first thing I want to talk about is your discipline and your sacrifice, because that's the thing that I really want to kind of hone in on. Because the question I asked was, how did you get into it? And you answered it directly, and I don't want it to go over anyone's heads, anyone watching. And if you are watching and you're taking notes, and I hope that you're taking notes, because we do say note takers are the money makers. But if you listen carefully to Sean's story, the hallmark of everything is the fact that he was incredibly disciplined and made sacrifices. So while his peers may have, enjoyed their weekends or just had the one job, because of the vision that he had, he decided, actually, I'm going to work extra hours and be disciplined enough to put that money away and not touch it. And that is one of the traits of people that I speak to that have gotten to the property ladder early. I mean, unless they've had a windfall or some parental help, but people like Sean, who I describe as self-made, they make that sacrifice and they are incredibly disciplined. So I really want you to write those 2 words down, because if you can develop the level of discipline and sacrifice that you've just heard, anything is possible. And that's the power that we have as humans. That's the power that we have as entrepreneurs. We have willpower where we can just make a decision and say, actually, you know what? I'm going to work extra hours. I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to go on crazy holidays. I'm not going to spend my money here and there. I'm actually just going to put it away because I've got a goal and I'm focused on achieving my goal. And the outcome of Sean doing that was having 4 properties. So it makes complete sense. I want to commend you on your discipline. I want to commend you on your sacrifice. And another thing that I want to pick up on is the moment when everything changed for you, from what I've just heard, is when you developed belief. And that belief came when you had that conversation with your dad and you mentioned the property opposite, and you realized that this was not only possible, but it was being done, and your mind just went like that. Your mind expanded because you saw what was possible for you. It's called social proof. So the first thing to look for in any industry, if it's property, is to look for social proof. And having social proof in your own family is very, very powerful. So once your mind decided that this was possible for me, now you're operating on autopilot. Now you're making conscious and subconscious decisions based on the fact that you've got this new belief system. So for a lot of people watching, my biggest piece of advice to anyone watching this, if you're thinking about getting into the property game and you've heard this and you're saying, actually, do you know what? I think I can be self-disciplined. I think I could make that sacrifice. The biggest thing you need to work on is your belief. Can you actually do this? Once you can see yourself doing this, everything changes. And you can develop belief from, watching this podcast, rewatching it and saying to yourself, well, if Sean could do it, I can definitely do it. Right? And that's how the belief comes. You see someone doing it, especially if that person has a similar background to you, and it instantly gives you that belief. And another thing that Sean said as well was that he instantly recognized the benefits of passive income as opposed to active income. And active income is where you're exchanging time for money. Whereas passive income is, when you're able to make money whilst you're sleeping. And it's my favorite type of income. But recognizing that, I think, gave you this extra drive that actually, do you know what? I don't have to slave away. I can make money in this way. Forgive me. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You could probably go on holiday now for 6 months and not have to worry about money, right?
I'm fully secured. I think I'm secure. I think my next generation is fully secured, and that's where I am. I'm now just making moves at the age of 38.
Talk us through this deal so that people can get an understanding as to what a deal looks like, how you put it together. Let's talk about that deal.
Well, you're gonna get to a stage. First of all, you're gonna save up for deposits, and you're gonna have to get a cash flow system, and that either comes from a business or it comes through work. And if it comes through work, it requires a plan to siphon some of the earned income, not just to go to the pub or spend on indulgences or holidays. It's sacrifice. And what that does is that trickles money into another pot called savings. And when you discipline on a monthly basis to save, if you've got a structure to that savings, you actually realize that over a certain amount of months, and you can actually write this down and know exactly when that month is coming, that you can save that amount that you need for a property. And once you can save that amount for a property, you can start creating passive income. Then you have something called passive income. And so then there's two routes to save. You save the passive income, and then you save the income that you're saving through your earned income. So there's two. So there's called multiple streams of income. Then you can increase that by working more or increasing your value. However, there's two playgrounds out there. There's a self-employed, where you get taxed at source. So as soon as you do that work, at the end of the month, you're going to be paying NI, you're going to be paying taxes, you're going to be paying for any insurances. Or you can play in the self-employed realm, where basically you earn money, you then deduct all your expenses like traveling, electric bills for where you live in, a meal that you've had out because it was a business lunch, and then you pay your tax. So you got to know where you want to be. And if you want to be in the self-employed, that's where the biggest businessmen are, made, in terms of, because they know how to structure themselves to be the most tax efficient in the best way possible, because the system rewards people who make businesses. So that's how I ended up buying my first deal. And then I started saving my earned income and also my rent, accumulating that together and buying my second house. And what did I do? That little game of opening bank accounts, I opened another account. All of a sudden I had a Barclays account, a Halifax account, I've got a Lloyd's account. It started spiraling, and I'm like, yeah, which card am I going to use for what? Like, it was my little thing. And what I would occasionally do is add up all the figures together. That one. I've got 50,000. I've got 60,000. Great. So then I could buy my next deal. And guess what happens? After a couple of years, the asset that you buy goes up in value, because it's not in fiat currency. Fiat currency is something that's not backed by anything. It's just what